What is up, you guys? I'm not here to waste your time, as you guys know, but I do have to say the things that you don't care to hear, and that is to like and sub and comment. If this video does anything in any way to benefit you, then I would truly appreciate that. It would mean a lot to me, and it helps me, it helps the channel, it helps us grow as a community, right? So I would really appreciate that. If you're new here, what up? If you're returning, what up? Thanks for coming back. I appreciate all your guys' support. I've enjoyed talking to you in the comments. I've had some of you DM me on Twitter, all of that, which puts me into the next thing. All of my socials are linked below. I always link them below. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to come talk to me, any of that. But if you'd like to, or you would like to talk to me or ask me things on a more regular basis, yes, I check the YouTube comments all the time, but on my phone, I just get the notification, that I get a DM. So if you want to talk to me there or reach out or have any questions about anything, feel free. Everything's linked below. We're on Twitch. We've got a Discord. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on everything. So that's out of the way. We're going to get into this video about jumpers. Now, I'm sorry that it took a little bit longer than expected, but I had to get some of the homies in on this video because we needed their jumpers as well. So I've got 8 jumpers here for you guys in the total of this video. A few of them are from me, a few of them are from my center, and a few of them are from my shooting guard, who also plays center and also plays lock. So we've got jumpers across the board for different positions and on different builds. So not only different heights, but different shooting capabilities, higher 3 balls, lower 3 balls, higher midi, lower midi, all of that. So a really good variety for you guys here. But I do want to get into a couple specific things before I start really giving you all the jumpers. I just want to talk about a couple ways on how to be consistent in shooting and maybe just be better at shooting that can help you. I, for one, am not the best shooter, actually. I've gotten better over the course of this 2K, and I've really tried to get better at it. And I learned a couple of things that I think really helped me strive in that. So I just want to share them with you guys real quick. So we'll get into that, and then I'll give you all the jumpers. So I'm actually just going to jump right into Premiere with you just real quick. I'm really not sure how I'm going to film and shoot this whole video, but we're winging it. So we're in here. I want to talk to you about a couple things. This is the jumper that I'm using currently. It's a T-Mac base, and the T-Mac base is one of the most consistent, but this is what I want to say. As you see, you've got like the release height, right? Release speed. You've got great grades on this jumper. A plus, B plus, B. Grades are important. Grades do matter, but also grades don't matter. What I mean by that is this is the jumper that I'm using currently, right? But the jumper that I am the most consistent on across the board and always have been is this jumper right here. Now this is my 6'8" point center. We made a video on it about 2 months ago. It's got a bench shepherd base, which I typically hate the bench shepherd base. I like a base or a jumper that kind of has a hitch in it, is what I like to say. So the T-Mac, I feel like it kind of has a hitch. It's like a good 1, 2, and then a let go. Whereas the bench shepherd is a lot smoother. It's more of like a like a fluid motion. And my brain doesn't work well with that type of jumper. However, on this build with this arm length, which is something I want to mention as well, it just works with the Troy Brown Jr. I don't know what it is, but there's still a hitch in it. And something else I want to say is the release speed here is A+, right? The timing stability is C. What I mean by grades matter, but they don't matter is this. Timing stability is C, but for me personally, this is the jumper that I am the most consistent on, and consistency would come from timing stability, right? So they matter, but they don't matter. I think what matters the most, and what I'm trying to say here, is that it's got to be something that your brain just works with. Now, no one in my squad does a jumper based off of a release cue. We say we feel it in the button. You got to just feel it in the button. And that's how it was in 2K20. That's how we always did it. And we kind of just do the same thing here. In the beginning of the game, we tried, everyone was saying, you got to know your release cue. You got to know your release cue. And we tried to buy into that, but for us, it just didn't work. I'm not saying it doesn't work, and it helps a lot of people, but for us, it just doesn't work. So for us, we like to feel the shot is what we say. I really can't explain that to you, but you feel it in the button. I really don't know what to say, but my timing stability is a C on this, but I'm super, super consistent. My release speed on this is an A+. Now, I never put my release speed this fast with blending, but on this jumper, I really had no choice. This is what I had to do, but it doesn't feel this fast. Even though this release speed is A+, I would say that this jumper on this build at this height with this arm length, the speed feels exactly the same for me as this jumper at this height with this arm length and this speed, right? Obviously the speed isn't the same. So grades are important, but what I think is more important is to tune it to yourself. So I like to go into the art of shooting. A lot of people set their jumpers in not the rec, in the Gatorade facility, which is totally fine. But in the Gatorade facility, you have more lag, which you have more lag in the game too. So it makes sense. But also for me, when I set it, I like to have consistency across the board when I set my jumper. And I don't feel like you can get that in the Gatorade facility because there is so much lag and skips here and there, right? So I go into the art of shooting and I set my jumper and I will tune it to me. I just do my natural release that just makes sense in my head when I hold and release. And if I can't get, consistent shots, then I'll walk out. I'll tune it, whether it's slower or faster, wherever I need it. And then I go back in and I try again. That's what I do. That's what works for me. But ultimately, you've got to do what works for you. But I would say don't get too invested into just grades. You could have the best grades on a jumper, but if your brain just doesn't click with the timing of it, then it just doesn't click with the timing of it. And there's some other things I'll go into in the video. We're just gonna jump into it. I'm not trying to waste time or go on too much about this, but I think you should really buy into just knowing your timing and just what makes sense. For me, literally the Ben Shepherd base just does not make sense in my head, in my finger, when I'm shooting. I just can't be consistent with it. The Ben Shepherd base is one of the best bases in the game. And it's super, super green. And my shooting guard, who is the most green person that I've ever met, he's my best friend. We grew up together. It's Chef. You guys have seen content of him in here before, but he's the greenest dude I know. He greens everything. He'll take a 76 3 ball and green from half court, and I'll be on an 86 3 ball and I can't even hit. And he'll do it without take, and I have take. Like he's just good at shooting. But he runs a Ben Shepherd base, and he's run the Ben Shepherd base from the very beginning. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying for me, it is bad. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense in my brain. So use something that makes sense to you. Don't buy in too much of like, I have to run a T-Mac base. I have to run a Ben Shepherd base. Find a base that works for you. Find a jumper that works for you, and find a timing that makes sense in your mind, in your head, with your hands, with hitting the button that makes sense, So I'll move on from that. Probably talked a bit too much, but let's get into it. Let's get into the jumpers. I'm gonna keep it short here. That's gonna be the longest part of the video. I'm just gonna show you these jumpers, talk about them a little bit, give you guys some clips, and you're good. So we've got jumpers from 6'6" all the way to 7'3". We've got multiple 6'6s, we've got 2 6'8s, we've got a 6'11, we've got a 7 foot, and we've got a 7'3". I've got my little notepad down here so that I don't forget everything, but let's get right into it. Okay, so this is my current jumper that I'm using. This is the T-Mac Mikal Bridges Troy Brown Jr. 70-30 blend, and these are the grades that you've got with it. Again, for me, so I run this jumper on 2 builds actually, but on 1 build, my blend is like 80-20, or not even. On 1 build, it's like the opposite of this. So on this build, with this arm length and everything, it's 70-30, but on my other build, my 6'9", that's obviously 6'9", not 6'6", has a different arm length and all of that, the blend is like opposite. But what I do is I blend it and tune it to the grade. So I know that on this jumper, or not to the grade, but to so this jumper, I use this one on my 6'9", right? So when I get onto my 6'9", rather than put my 6'9" at 70-30, I actually have just like a photo of this photo right here, right? I look at it on my phone while I'm tuning the jumper, and I just try to make it look exactly like this. Not necessarily in the sense of the grades, because on that build, it's not the same grades, and the blend is literally like swapped. Instead of like 70-30, it's like 30-70. But I tune it just because I know it's the same jumper to be the same in terms of the release speed. Because for me, that's probably how I am the most consistent, is based off of the speed of the shot. So that's how I tune it. That's what I do. So if you are gonna keep the same jumper on a build, for me, that has worked to not keep the same blend on every single build, because arm length does make a difference, and height and all of that. Like it absolutely makes a difference. So I just tune it to be the same as it is on my build that I am green on. I hope that makes sense. So the requirement for my Clarkson one is height at least 6'5" and under 6'10", mid-range or your 3 ball, either or, has to be 88. That's at 6'6" height, and obviously we've got the max release speed 70-30 blend of Mikal Bridges and Troy Brown Jr. with the T-Mac base. I do very well with the T-Mac base. A lot of people do very well with the T-Mac base. It's just a really good base. It makes sense to a lot of people, and it's got a really high release, so that's great for contests and things like that. Chalk and Two Talk, who are some of the best shooters in this game, whether they're cheating or not, I don't know. I don't freaking care, but they're some of the best shooters on this game, and they run the T-Mac base as well. Now, I don't run it because of them, and you shouldn't run it because of them either, because you won't be just as green as they are just because you run the base they run. Like I said, it's got to make sense in your head, right? So you're seeing some clips now. I'm sure this is my jumper. You can hit, I've got an 86 3 ball on the build that you're seeing here, but as long as you have the requirements, which as you can see, it says you need to at least be 6'5", but under 6'10". Your mid-range has to be 88, or your 3-point shot has to be 88 in order to get this jumper. So pay attention to that. As you guys can see over here, right under the grades, it says height at least 6'5" and under 6'10". So that's a requirement. Mid-range shot 88 or 3-point shot 88. That's what you need in order to get the base. However, sometimes you can't run certain blends based off of how high or low your jumper is either. And I've only run into that a couple of times, but that's just something to consider. Ultimately, when you are making a jumper, you should look it up. That's what I do. Look it up on 2K Labs, or just look it up on Google or Reddit or something. You're gonna find what you need. But this is my T-Mac jumper. This is what I'm using currently. And on the build that I'm running right now, it's actually a remake of my SGA build. And we'll get into that, and I'll put a video out for it, but I did remake the SGA build, and this is the jumper that I'm running on it. So this is the jumper that I'm pretty much the most consistent on, at least on a guard, aside from that one that I showed you on my point center that I'm very consistent on, but it's just a different height. It's a different build altogether. So for my Corver jumper, height at least 6'5" and under 6'10", we're 6'6". Mid-range at least has to be 89, or your 3-ball can be 89. That's what you need for the requirements for this one. If you guys look down at the bottom right, again, you can see what it says. It says height at least 6'5" and under 6'10". We're 6'6", mid-range shot 89. Ours is 92, or your 3-point shot could be 89. Ours is only 86, but since our mid-range is 92, we're good to go. I actually have never seen anyone run the Kyle Korver base. A lot of people run Kyle Korver in their upper or in their lower release, or upper release 1 or upper release 2. But I don't think I personally have never seen anyone run it as a base. Now, I knew that I was green with Korver releases, so I just figured, hey, I'll try his base, and I tried it and I really liked it, at least when I made the build. Now I'm showing you a photo. This is the most points I've ever scored in a game. I got 62 points. I shot 25 for 30 and I shot 8 for 8 from 3. That is the best I've ever shot, and that's a really good record. But I changed this jumper and I went to that T-Mac one that I showed you. Why would I change it? Over time, I just wasn't as consistent. Like, I went off in that game and it was great, and I could hit for the most part with it, but very often I was also missing. And on the T-Mac, I'm just more consistent. It just works better for me, but I do really love this jumper. And Kyle Korver base gives you a motion to it, so you're actually moving to the left. Maybe if you're left-handed, you'll move to the right. I don't know, but all my shooters are right-handed. All my builds are right-handed. So when you jump up, you're actually moving to the left with this jumper. And I just liked it. I liked the way it looked and it felt good. And I ran it for a while, but ultimately I ended up switching and going back to the T-Mac because I'm just more consistent across the board in it. However, maybe this works for you. And I did really enjoy this when I was hitting with it, at least, you know. So Kyle Korver, Oscar Robertson, Kyle Korver. It's got a 90-10 blend, but again, don't worry so much about my blend or my grades. Like, set it to where it makes sense to you. This can be a starting point for you, but just like we say with builds, right? Let it be a template and then adjust, right? Don't just set this and be like, okay, he's green on it, I hope I'm green on it. Set it to make sense for you, to where you're consistent with these jumpers, and then like move on from there, basically. So that's what I would recommend. Again, showing you guys clips. Any jumper, and you guys will see it when I start showing you Chef, but any jumper, any build at any level can hit. It's all based on us, and we are human, and we have a lot of, we're not perfect. Human error is a thing. So it's just going to happen. You're going to miss, and you've just got to practice. Literally, you just got to practice and keep shooting and be more confident. Like for me on that game where I dropped 62, my shooting guard Chef was actually in my ear the whole time, like telling me like, hey, you know, like just be confident, take the shot, shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. And I ended up going 8 for 8 from 3, and I ended up dropping 62 points. At the point that I had like 28 points, I was like, oh, I can hit my PR, which was 32. And I hit the 32, and then I was like, oh, well, it's only the second, like, let's try and do something here. So, you know, we messed around, they fed me the ball, and it ended up going good. But that to say, he's super confident and he'll pull anything, and he'll hit. And sometimes you just got to shoot it, right? But so being confident is a big thing. And then just, you know, just practicing so you can be consistent. Like, I'm not much of a flashy shooter per se. And even in the clips that I'm showing you guys, like, I'm not very flashy. I'm a safe shooter. I'm a safe player, so to speak, but sometimes you need the aggressive, right? So be confident in those shots, take those shots, but don't do stupid ones. That doesn't mean like go and try and break someone off and hit a fader at the wing, you know, deep. Like, break someone off, get open, but confidently pull your shot when you're pulling it. Because what I'll do is I'll break someone off or I'll get open. I hunt for the mid-range a lot, so I won't even notice I'm open at 3. and I'll go into the mid-range and I could have taken a 3, or I will see that I'm open at 3, but I feel like they're going to close out and I just don't shoot it. Whereas most of the time, if you just shoot it, you're going to make it. And if you don't adjust, I'm not saying every time pull it, but you know, do your thing. So this was that jumper. Really enjoyed it. Kyle Korver, Oscar Robertson, Kyle Korver, 90-10 blend. I always go release speed maxed out. That's just what we do. And everyone on my team also just runs set point. So that's just what we like. But again, just use it as a template and make it make sense for you. That's all I can tell you guys. Just make it make sense for you. We have got Chef's first jumper. This is on his Harden build, which I need to make a video on this Harden build. So this is Ben Shepherd, Troy Brown Jr., Oscar Robinson, and the release speed is very quick and the blending is 2080. I'm just now realizing that the photo isn't with the actual blend there in front of you guys, but if you look down in that bottom left, it tells you release speed very quick, blending 2080. The height is at least 6'5" and under 6'10". We're 6'6". Mid-range has to be 86, or your 3-ball has to be 86. His mid-range is 97 and his 3-ball is 92 on this build, so he's good to go on that. Now, something I really want to talk about here is this. Jumpers, every time there's an update, every time there's a patch, every time something, right? People always say jumpers get messed with. Some people even say delete your jumper and then remake it and then you'll green again. No, I don't believe in any of that. I think all of it is bullshit. I think all of it is ridiculous. And I think sometimes you just drive with a shot and sometimes it just fades off and you just don't. Like me with that Korver one. I dropped 62 and I ran it for a while, but then I just started being inconsistent with it. So I changed it. Or you need to adjust that shot. I changed shots completely just because I know I'm consistent on the T-Mac. I just didn't like that it was a little slower, but I got over that because consistency was more important. But either way, that to say, this jumper right here that my shooting guard runs, he has run it since the beginning of 2K24. Since the game came out, this is the jumper he made. This is one of the first ones that people were putting Troy Brown, Oscar blend, and he's been running it since. And every build that he can run, or every build that he runs that can get this jumper, this is the jumper he runs on it. He does have builds with other jumpers, and we're going to look at some of them, but this is his go-to. He's mainly our shooting guard. That's what he's on like 99% of the time. On this build, and this is the jumper he runs, and he's had multiple guards. All of us have been through a lot of different builds or adjusting our builds, and he always goes with this. And as you can see, he is so green, super consistent, pulling ridiculous stuff, faders, half court, beyond half court, in pro am, in park, in rec, it doesn't matter. He is just good like that. It's not the jumper. Because it is and it isn't. I could put him on my build with my jumper and he would go and do the same thing. He's just good at shooting. He's just good at this game. It just makes sense to him. That's not to say that the jumper isn't good, but he's just so good. It's just ridiculous. But that to say, jumpers, we don't subscribe or believe in the fact that they change, or not the fact. We don't subscribe or believe in that they change, or with a patch they do this or whatever. There have been times in the game where there was more lag when the game first came out. So when they adjusted that and made things smoother, all jumpers felt different. He was running this jumper literally from the beginning. So he went through all of that, stuck with the jumper. This is what he sticks to. This is what he used. And it's one of the things that he preaches is he's like, dude, I just use the same exact jumper in the same build all the time. Even when I'm in a slump, even when I'm missing, even whatever, I'm using the same jumper. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to adjust it. And that's something that definitely I used to do a lot, and our big man used to do a lot as well. Is like, we start missing and we're like, we just need to change a jumper. It's an easy way out per se to find something that just you're clicking with immediately, but then in the long term, does it hold up? I don't know. So I don't think so. I think it's better just to learn your jumper. And that's why I've been sticking with this T-Mac, and like I've been through a couple slumps with it as well. And I just stick with it. And I was like, whatever, I'm sticking with this jumper. Like, I'm just going to go shoot more. I'm going to shoot even more, which is another thing. You tend to get into a slump and you kind of shoot less. You just got to shoot more. You just got to shoot that thing till it starts falling. Stay confident. Don't let it get in your head. And just keep pulling that thing. Don't compromise the game or your team, and just don't be an idiot, you know, but shoot that thing and be confident. And if you've got some solid teammates, they're going to probably encourage you to do the same. So this is Ben Shepherd, Troy Brown Jr., Oscar Robinson, and the release speed is very quick and the blending is 2080. I'm just now realizing that the photo isn't with the actual blend there in front of you guys, but if you look down in that bottom left, it tells you release speed very quick, blending 2080. So that's what this is. Moving on. This is actually Chef's lock, same shooter, but obviously the shooting requirements are way different. He doesn't have as high shooting on this build. So sorry if I forgot to say it, but look down at the bottom right of this and you will see the requirements for the jumper. So this one is, like I said on the Clarkson one, this one is height at least 6'5" and under 6'10". Mid-range shot has to at least be 78, or your three-point shot has to at least be 78. So on this jumper, he has a much lower three ball and a much lower mid-range. His mid-range on this is 28 right now. I think his mid-range goes up a little bit higher, but I'm not sure. And his three-point goes to 78. So even right now, with his mid-range being as low as it is, he can run this because he's got the three-point. Now, what does change sometimes, like I said, is the blend. Sometimes you can't do the blend exactly how you want it, depending on how high or low your midi or three ball is. But this one right here doesn't require very much. So we've got Chef's lock. It's got a JT Thor, Oscar Robertson, Sadiq Bey. Release speed is quick and blending is 82.48. This is a 6'8" lockdown defender. It's got much lower shooting than his other builds, but as you can see in these clips, he's still much greener than me for sure, and really anyone else on the team, even with the lowest shooting, and he's still shooting the highest percentage and making this. He just shoots confidently and he believes in his shot. He finds a jumper he likes and he shoots it. So height at least 6'5" and under 6'10". We're 6'8". Mid-range shot 78. Or three-point shot 78. His three balls up to 78. His mid-range right now is only on 28, but it goes higher. He just invested into all the defense right now. But either way, he can still run the jumper because his three ball is up to 78. Now the release speed on this, again, is very quick, and the blending is 52.48. So that would be 52 Oscar Robertson, 48 Sadiq Bey. I'm just now realizing that this isn't the right photo like the other ones were, but this is what Chef gave us, so this is what we're working with. So just look down there at the bottom left. The release speed, again, is quick, max speed, and the blending is 52.48. As you guys can see, like, he's still green on this build. Like, he's still doing stuff off the dribble, even hit a fader at the three with no take. Like, again, this is Chef who's doing this, so he's just like that, to be honest. But if you want to talk about what you're capable of at a low, at a low three ball or low mid range with not a per se meta jumper, which I think JT Thor, Oscar Robertson, and Sadiq Bey are absolutely meta jumper like selections for sure. But still, like, his requirements, he just has to have something at 78. Like, it doesn't take much, and he's doing this. So this is a jumper on that. Again, it's Chef, so we can't all be like him, but he's doing his thing with this jumper. And I do love the JT Thor base. When I started on this, I used a JT Thor base, and I tried going back to it just because I really like it so much. And I love faders off of JT Thor. However, I don't do well with catch and shoots off JT Thor, at least not the last time I tried. That's kind of the thing with the T-Mac base for me. Faders from three, I can never hit them. I just don't work well with the T-Mac base and faders from three. I hit midi faders all the time. That's my main thing that I go to. But I just have trouble hitting the corner fader threes with the T-Mac base. Whereas with the JT Thor base, I hit those fader corners all the time. So you got to give a little, but ultimately the T-Mac for me works more because I have more consistency. But I do really enjoy the JT Thor base. I just haven't run it in a while. Maybe I'll go back and try it, even though I'm telling you guys you should be consistent and stay with the jumper. Maybe I'll try it anyway. Moving on, this is Bam. We've got photos back the right way, at least for a little bit here before we get to Chef's Yao 7'3" center build. But for right now, we are on my 6'8" point center. And I've got a Ben Shepherd, Troy Brown Jr. We already talked about this a little bit. Release speed maxed out, and the blend is 100% either way because they're both Troy Brown Jr. anyways. Height at least 6'5" and under 6'10". We're 6'8". Mid-range 83. Or three-point shot 83. Our mid-range is 84. Our three ball is 78. So we're good to go because our mid-range is above that 83 requirement. So this is what I've got there. I am the most consistent personally on this jumper, at least with this build at this height with this arm length. Now, I'm not you can go back and look at the video of this, and I will have videos for every build that is in this video eventually, but I'm not going to necessarily go through and tell you guys, every arm length on each build, because it just doesn't matter. I don't make my builds arm length specifically. I'm just saying that with this arm length on this build at 6'8", I'm hitting very, very consistently with this. I tried putting this exact jumper onto my point guard because of how consistent I was with it. It wasn't the same. It didn't look the same. It obviously didn't feel the same. If it didn't look the same, like it just was not the same jumper at all. It was completely different. So height and arm length absolutely matters. So hopefully this video helps you and gives you, options for kind of all of that different height range at least. Pretty consistent on this jumper. As you see, I'm hitting faders, I'm hitting threes, post fades, all of that. And if you guys aren't seeing like post fades and stuff in this video, that's just because I'm trying to be quick, show you guys some 3-pointers just to show you that it can green, but if it can hit threes like you guys are seeing, it's going to be able to hit anything else you need to hit too. Hop jumpers, post fades, whatever you need. A jumper is a jumper. So we're good to go. Moving on, this is Jay Sandy's build. He also gave us the wrong photo, so they are idiots. But this is Jay Sandy's Bosch build, which will have a video as well. But it's got a Kevin Durant base, a really, really good base, especially when you hit over that 6'10 mark. You actually have to be 6'10 in order to get it. As you see, the height is 6'10 at least. We're 6'11, mid-range shot 89 or 3-ball 89. Our midi is 89, so we're good to go. We've got Kevin Durant, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Jaren Jackson Jr. It's got a normal release speed and a blending of 40-60. So lab this up however you want. If you've got a big man, the KD base is very, very good for it. KD, LaMarcus Aldridge, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Jay Sandy's doing everything on this as well. He's doing post fades and stuff. He works in the post a lot on his builds. He's a big man and he enjoys working in the post. So he's doing post fades on this. He's doing spot up threes, deep threes, all of that. And again, he's just got that 82 3-ball. However, you don't need that 82 3-ball. I subscribe to having 78 or really 85 or 86, but that's on a guard. As a big man, it might be different. Maybe he got catch and shoot out of that 82. I don't really know, but he's got the 82 3-ball. You guys have seen my videos before, and if you're new here and you haven't, we do have like a builder secrets series that's going on, and we talk specifically about what you get out of specific ratings. So like the 3-ball, 76 to 78, you don't get anything in terms of badges, but there is a percentage boost in your shot percentage and like make percentage. So you can go back to the old videos and check those. But if you already know about that, then I probably wouldn't go above that 78, but Sandy either went above it just because he had extra points, so why not? Or he might have got something out of that, I'm not sure. But another good jumper, KD base, definitely one of the best in the game, especially for big man. Chef has even run the KD base. Actually, Chef has a KD build with a KD base jumper that I will actually be making a video on that build and giving you guys the jumper and the build all in one. But the KD base, really, really good base, and it looks really, really nice. So KD, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Jaren Jackson Jr., release speed normal, blending 40-60. Go try it out, see if you can green some. This is Sandy's other big man that you guys saw in our last video. It wasn't a video on this build, but we did show this build. There will be a video coming out of this build. I'm working on it. Again, this one's got a KD base, LaMarcus Aldridge, but it's got Tim Duncan. Release speed normal, and the blending is 1585. Requirements, you at least have to be 6'10". We're 7 foot, so we're good. Mid-range has to be 88, or your 3-ball has to be 88. We've got a 90 mid-range here, which gets you the Hall of Fame open looks, which is a goated badge. If you can't make it to the 92, especially on a big man, that's okay because you're probably not going for something like for guard up or midi magician. You might take a lot of middies, but I feel like midi magician helps a lot more with the faders, but maybe I'm wrong. But getting that Hall of Fame open looks helps across the board, right? Midi magician obviously helps in the mid-range, and blinders obviously helps if people are closing out on you, but open looks works across the board, assuming you're open, but it like works mid-range, 3-ball, whatever. So post fade, any of that. So really, really good badge that you get at 90 mid-range. But as you see, Sandy is good on this, and Sandy and I aren't great shooters. Sandy's probably our most inconsistent shooter because he gets in his head the most, at least. And usually we just tell him, shut up, get out of your head. And then he starts greening. But sometimes he just thinks too much and he misses them. That to say, this jumper in the KD base, he has become a lot more consistent since he has started using this KD base across his build. So KD base really, really good if you're having trouble finding a shot, especially on a big man, and you want something that's actually a bit faster and at least consistent. KD, and this one is a very good one. As you guys can see, it's greening, but again, you've got to see if it feels good for you and if you can green on it. Something also that I would recommend, if you guys look back at the bullet jumper, so the Ben Shepherd, Troy Brown Jr., and Oscar Robertson, I will take the Troy Brown Jr. upper release and Oscar Robertson upper release, and I will just change out the base. So I know that those are really good releases, and I'll usually just keep them there. They have really good grades. They're good across the board. And then I'll go and I'll like throw a Corver base on it, or a T-Mac base, or a J.R. Smith, and kind of just cycle through. So I found a lot of jumpers that way as well, just by leaving the releases that I know are good there and then just changing out the base for something that's maybe a little bit slower or a little bit faster. Like Kyle Korver is much faster than T-Mac. T-Mac is known to be slow, whereas Ben Shepherd is known to be very fast. So you can kind of keep the releases there if you want, just because they are good kind of across the board, and you can swap out the bases. Just another little random pointer there. And finally, we've got Chef on his Yao jumper on a 7.3, and look at the speed on this jumper. Chef is just naturally like loves fast jumpers. On a 2K20, we had catch and shoot and quick release, like Hall of Fame. On all his builds, that's like always what he ran. So he likes those fast jumpers, and on a big man, especially a 7.3, you don't usually get jumpers this fast. So maybe this is nothing new to anyone. I don't know. This is not my jumper. This is Chef, but Eric Pascal, Marquise Chris, and Larry Bird, release speed is normal and the blending is 95.5. Requirements, you at least have to be 6'5", so you can actually get this jumper as a guard, it looks like, but you at least have to be 6'5", worse 7'3". There's no limit on height of this jumper, so that's cool. And your mid-range has to be 82, or your three-point has to be 82. Our mid-range is 82, our three ball 76. We're good to go. Again, we've got the release speed normal and the blending at 95.5. And as you guys can see, I mean, again, this is Chef, so he's greening and he's hitting his things, but pick and pops, post fades, whatever it is, he's hitting it on this. So not really much to say. I'm showing you guys clips throughout the video. I'm sure you're looking at clips now. And that's it. That's super simple video. And hopefully everything you need. Now, again, just remember the few things that I did say about, yes, these jumpers are cool, but use them how we say to use builds, right? Every time we do a build video, we say, use this as a template, but change out things to make it work best for you. I would do the same thing with the jumper. You could use this exact jumper, the base, the upper release 1 and 2, but in terms of the blend and the release speed, mess with it. Go in there, shoot a couple, and like maybe you're green, but what I do, even when I'm greening on a new shot, I'll still go out and mix it a little bit different to see if I'm even more consistent. And that's something I've learned too. Like, just because you're on a jumper that you're really green on, for instance, me with the Corver, doesn't mean that there might not be a different jumper that you're more consistent or more green on. So one, you don't want to change your jumper all the time, but also if you feel like you're being inconsistent, or you feel like there might be something out there that you'll just click with better, change it, right? You like, there's a right time to and not to, and don't overdo it. But definitely figure out what works best for you. Change up the blend, mess around with it. Don't just immediately make this jumper exactly how it is in this video and then, you know, go hope you're gonna go green. Go into artist shooting or Gatorade facility or whatever it is and shoot around. Shoot around all the shots. Post fades, midi faders, corner faders, three faders, catch and shoots. Just standing there, like, just try all the variations of shooting it from all the different points of the court and just really feel what makes sense. Because when you feel a jumper, you've got you've got different timings on everything you do. If you're shooting off the dribble, it's going to be slower. So a T-Mac base, you've got to know that. On a Ben Shepherd base, it's so fast that even off the dribble, it almost feels exactly the same as like a catch and shoot. T-Mac is significantly slow. It's a slower jump shot. It's not slow, but it is a slower jump shot, especially compared to Ben Shepherd. And off the dribble, there's a noticeable difference. So like for me, when I catch and shoot, there's one speed and it's faster. But if I'm doing a midi fader or if I'm doing off the dribble, those two timings are the same. So that to say, when you are practicing your shot, try all the different types of shots so you can feel consistency through all of them and know, like, I really like this at catch and shoot, or I really like this just standing and spot up shooting, but when I try to do it off the dribble, it feels a little too fast. So maybe you need to make the shot a little bit slower. Like you want the best of everything, right? That was my problem with the Corver one. I don't remember if it was faders or if it was catch and shoots, but I wasn't hitting one of them. Like, I think it was catch and shoots, like wide open catch and shoots. I should be hitting them and I was just missing them, but stuff off the dribble or fading, I was hitting all the time. But I didn't like that. I didn't like being wide open and then missing. Like, it's just not a good feeling. And it's just, you want the shot to be consistent across the board. So I ended up switching to T-Mac, and then I blended that to make it work for me the best I could across the board, with my shots off the dribble, with my shots off a catch and shoot, with my spot ups, with my middies, with my threes, with my midi faders, with my three faders, post fades, whatever it is. I adjusted that. Like, also on the Corver, I couldn't hit post fades on the Corver because it was so fast. Whereas post fades on T-Mac, I'm really good at because it has this long hitch to it and it just makes sense for me. So do with these as you please, but hopefully what I said helps out just a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, please, if it helped you in any way, drop me a comment, a like, a sub, anything. If you have any ideas for videos, please give them to me, because I'm new at this and we're just winging it. So any ideas, any help, any recommendations, I would truly appreciate it. I know someone mentioned they didn't know what dexing was, so we might do a quick little thing on that. I haven't, looked into reels, or like, I don't even think they're reels on here, YouTube shorts. Maybe I'll do one of those. I don't know. I think they're supposed to be really good for you. We're winging it here. So if you've got any suggestions, whether it's for a video or just YouTube in general, stuff that we don't know, would love to talk to you about it. Again, all my social medias are linked below as well, so you guys can reach out to me. I see all my DMs. I see all of that. In terms of 2K and talking about this, I'm going to be the most active on Twitter and be able to respond to you on there. Aside from that, we're growing. I am on Twitch, and I was streaming all the time, every day, but then I realized I wasn't getting much return on investment, so I decided to start uploading to YouTube, and here we are, much more return on investment, and we've got 1,280 subs is what we have. I've got it up on the screen here. So that's rad. I don't know at what point I'm going to start interacting and try to stream as well. I don't want to overwhelm myself or, bite off more than we can chew, but I do want to interact with you guys more, play some games with you, hop in the rec with you, hop in the Discord. We're going to make a section specifically for finding people to play with and run with, and finding people that just aren't, going to sell on you. Hopefully we build a good community. That'd be rad. But either way, I really appreciate all of you guys being here, and I'm really looking forward to engaging with you a lot more in a lot of different ways, whether it's giveaways, playing some games together like we said, or whatever it is. So join up on the Discord, send me a DM if you have any questions, whatever it is. I really appreciate you guys, and I will catch you in the next one. We have a lot coming. We've got the Bosch build, we've got the Harden build that you saw in here, we've got the Yao build that you saw in here, we've got the Joker build that you saw in here. That's 4 builds right there that we have videos coming for, and that we have everything we need. I just have to do the videos. I have my new version of the SGA build that I just made, but then I remade. The other one isn't bad, but I personally needed to change a couple things to make it work better for me. I still like the other one. I'm not saying that it's trash by any means, but that's 5 videos right there. Then we've got the rest of the builder secrets. We've got to do builder secrets on a lock, then we've got to do it on a small forward, and all the positions. I think we've only done 2 positions technically so far, so we've got 3 more of those. So a lot coming. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much. I'll catch you in the next one. I shut off the video and then I just started recording again, so maybe I'll just throw this in at the end kind of randomly, and if you catch it, you catch it. But I do have on the pants that you can get in 2K. I bought them in real life. I like them. They're pretty sweet. They're from Market. They're pretty rad, and actually they're reversible. So you can reverse them, and all this that's black right here, it's the opposite. So all of this is black, and then the inside of the leg right here is like the camo. But they're pretty sweet. I decided I'd tell you guys that because they're on 2K and we all like 2K. So I bought the pants in real life, and I think they were worth it. Maybe we do a video where we just go and buy all the 2K drip, but in real life, and try it on, I guess. I don't know. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.